frame.
And one more thing.
Okay.
I love how he is, okay, so that's Alpha as a person, but I also love how he is positioned as a character in the book.
So,
Yes.
And I feel the same way about Frankie and Matthew in that sense.
So I have this deep confusion with the arc of the book, because throughout the book, Frankie thinks that Matthew is her reason. She thinks Matthew is the thing that she loves, Matthew is the person whose approval she wants, Matthew is why she's doing all of this. But the book tells me it's Alpha.
Uh-huh.
The book starts with Alpha
too, for sure.
and ends with Alpha. She meets Alpha. Alpha's the person who denies knowing her. Alpha is the dog she pretends to be. Alpha's the person she has the instant messenger
His name
conversations
is Alpha.
with. His name is Alpha.
There are also so many little moments where she's like, wait, do I have to choose between them? Oh, thank
Right.
goodness I don't have to choose.
Right,
And
right. The
Alpha-
book kind of says that it's Alpha that,
Right.
Yeah.
And Alpha is the only one of the dogs who learns anything.
Mhm.
Unless you count Porter, which is complicated.
Yeah,
But,
Porter's
Complicated.
complicated.
It's a whole other
Yeah.
story.
but like Alpha is the book's arc. Frankie thinks her arc is Matthew, but her arc is Alpha. And the book, and
I like that.
the thing that I find so interesting about that is so, for me, explicit in the framing of the book, because it doesn't start with her first year at Alabaster, and it doesn't start with the beginning of her second year of Alabaster. It starts with her meeting Alpha at a completely arbitrary point in time.
Hmm.
You know, like, we are going to start
Right.
and end with Alpha for fairly arbitrary reasons.
Well,
Yeah.
but I think it's also telling that at the places that she starts and ends are with her family, which are, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday, that the very fact that her mother's family at least is Jewish,
Yeah.
which sets them apart from the rest of the people in almost the same way that Alpha is set apart from them by not having the full upper class white privilege.
And I also wonder if he is the closet Catholic that is mentioned with a name like Alessandro
Tesserarius. Oh, I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course I immediately
Right.
cling to that. I was like, oh, I know this boy.
So for reference, Jewish, Catholic, Jewish. So
Ex-Catholic.
well,
Jewish.
in heritage and education.
Okay, there we go.
So there we go. So
And like
yeah.
by like it's at points where they're outsiders. It's where she's coded as an outsider.
Yeah.
Because like
That's
within her
really
family she's really an outsider.
Yeah.
It's like it's her annoying cousins who are all at least 3 years younger than her, I think. They're
And
all
it's
like
her nickname too.
yeah.
Bunny
And no one
Rabbit.
else in her
Fascinating.
family seems, it's partly the fact that she doesn't like the nickname and we think she doesn't deserve such a belittling, squishy little soft nickname, but also no one else in her family seems to have a nickname.
If I can give a moment of praise for the narrator of the audiobook, every single time, the voices are all different, her mother's different, her sister's different, the uncles are different, but every single time one of them says Bunny Rabbit, they say, Bunny Rabbit. And it's just great. It's always this incredibly belittling phrase. It's just, Bunny Rabbit. Even Zeta does it. She's talking to her about the Panopticon, and then she'll say, now Bunny Rabbit. It's really well done.
That'd be pretty cool.
It's well done.
So that's really fascinating. You're saying that it starts at places that position her people, her family, outside the power
Yeah.
structure, but also she is positioned outside her family because of what's happening
Yeah.
with her. That's really interesting.
Especially because Zeta's not at either the beach or was Zeta at the Mile?
No,
I know she went for
She's always
Thanksgiving.
somewhere else.
I don't
She's
think
on the
so.
phone.
And her family, they're not like stereotype Jews, but in these very, very subtle ways, they have New York Jewish sentence structure. They speak in a cultural way. They put words together in ways that, at least to me as a Jew, identified them as Jewish. I don't know if it's identifiable.
I would
Yeah.
not, I did not pick that up. I would
Yeah.
not have picked that up.
But it was comforting, which sounds weird, but I don't hear my family's sentence structures that often in books, even with characters who are nominally Jewish.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very,
makes
very
sense.
tiny, subtle thing. It's like, I probably, if I were a linguist, I could, point to it, but this sort of subject-verb ordering things that are slightly probably way back in the past,
I think it's
Yiddish oriented.
It's
Yeah.
a tiny bit of Yiddish syntax.
Yeah, a little bit of Yiddish syntax, and I should have tagged a specific moment, but I couldn't. But yeah, it's
And
these,
I'm the wrong person to be looking for.
yeah, these tiny moments that offset her and made her family clearly different, and she doesn't speak like that at all. It's all her mother and her uncles. Zeta doesn't either.
And I think that also has to do with Zeta during Frankie's freshman year specifically saying, don't stand out.
Yeah.
Like, don't draw attention to how you're different. Don't draw attention to what you don't know, etc.
Really, Frankie, you're wearing hardly any clothes, you go into town, you get lost, what do you think is gonna happen? Is that, I mean, again, I am not the person who should be trying to pull these out of the book.
Really, Frankie? You're wearing hardly any clothes, you go into town, you get lost, what do you think is gonna happen?
It's a little like ASL actually as well, which I have noticed
Yeah.
before about Yiddish syntax, is that first you name the thing you're talking about,
Mhm.
and then you talk about descriptions or results or something.
Yeah.
The book, it's really long. Like,
Yes.
you go into town, what do you think is going to happen?
Yes, yes.
It's Yiddish, but it's also ASL.
Yeah.
Just a connection I realized decades ago.
That's really cool, I like that.